It started with a pounding on my door so hard the frame rattled. I opened it to find Ethan, Karen's teenage son, standing there with a smirk plastered across his face. He didn't bother with greetings. "Give me your Wi-Fi password," he demanded, as if asking for the time of day. Behind him, Karen stood with her arms crossed, her bulk silhouetted by the porch light, her lips curled in a smug grin. "It's community courtesy," she said sharply, her voice carrying down the street. "Since you're on our block, you owe us access. My son's Xbox can't connect. And frankly, your refusal to share is hostile to the neighborhood." I blinked at them, stunned not by the audacity, but by the sheer absurdity. "You want me to hand over my private network?" I asked. Ethan rolled his eyes, muttering under his breath, "Figures. You people never share." The venom in his tone hit me harder than his arrogance. And Karen caught it, nodding in agreement as if the insult were justified. I clenched my jaw, fighting to keep calm. "No one here owes you my Wi-Fi. Buy your own service like everyone else." Karen's face turned crimson, her finger jabbing toward me like a weapon. "This will not stand. You're disrupting community harmony. Either you cooperate, or we escalate." She pulled out her phone with a flourish and barked into it. "Yes. Police. We've got a hostile resident refusing access, possibly tampering with networks. Send someone right away." Her words spilled out loud enough for the entire block to hear. A performance designed to shame me. Within minutes, sirens cut through the night. 2 squad cars rolled up, lights spinning as officers stepped out, scanning the scene. Ethan threw himself into the spotlight, pointing dramatically at me. "That's him. He's messing with our Wi-Fi and threatening us." Karen stood behind him, nodding furiously, her voice trembling with faux outrage. "He's destabilizing the neighborhood. You need to arrest him right now." The officers looked at me, confusion flickering in their eyes. I didn't move, didn't flinch. Instead, I pulled my phone from my pocket, tapped a button, and let the truth unfold. My security system projected the footage of Ethan pounding on my door, demanding my password, Karen declaring I owed them access, and Ethan's sneer as he spat his insult. The officer's brows furrowed deeper with each passing second. And when the clip ended, the taller one turned slowly toward Karen. "Ma'am, you called us for this." Karen stammered, her face blotchy. "He's hiding something. He's got illegal equipment in there. I know it. No one needs that many routers." Her voice cracked with desperation, but her words only fed the growing disbelief of the crowd now gathering, neighbors stepping out to watch the spectacle. For months, they had endured her clipboard threats, her bogus fines, her endless sense of ownership. Now they were seeing her unravel, exposed in the glow of red and blue lights. That was when I decided it was time to stop playing defense. I tapped another button on my phone, and with a soft electronic hum, the entire street went black. Every porch light, every lamp inside the windows, every decorative string of bulbs along fences, all of it vanished in an instant. Gasps rippled through the crowd as confusion turned to awe. Only my house remained lit, warm and steady against the sudden dark. Karen's jaw dropped, her arms flailing as she shrieked, "What have you done?" I stood tall in the doorway, letting the silence speak before I answered. "You accused me of tampering. Fine. Tonight, I show you the truth. This house runs on its own system, solar, independent, and secured. You tried to drag me down, but I hold the switch you'll never control. The glow of my porch spilled across the stunned faces of neighbors. Some smiling, some whispering in excitement. For the first time, Karen wasn't the loudest force on the street. Karen's scream pierced the darkness, her bulky frame flailing as if she could swat away the silence left behind by the blackout. Neighbors stumbled out of their houses, flashlights flicking on, voices rising in confusion. What happened? Did the grid go down? Why does his house still have power? Their murmurs built into a wave, and Karen seized it like she always did, trying to spin disaster into control. See? She shrieked, her voice ragged. I told you he was dangerous. He's hoarding electricity, manipulating networks, and now he's cut us all off. Arrest him. Now. But the officers weren't moving. They were staring at the glow of my porch light, their radios still crackling with signals that clearly worked despite Karen's accusation. One officer tapped his earpiece and muttered, "Dispatch. Street's dark, but comms are fine. Resident at 118 has full power." There was a pause. Then a reply. Copy that. He's on his own grid. Not a city issue. The officer looked up at Karen, his expression hard. Ma'am, this blackout isn't his fault. If anything, it proves what he said. His system's separate. Yours is just out. The crowd turned, dozens of eyes locking on Karen. Some held suspicion, others outright laughter. For years, she had lorded over them with her clipboard fines and fake citations, insisting every family bend to her will. Now she stood red-faced in the dark, exposed by the very arrogance that brought her here. That was when the twist none of us expected unfolded. From the back of the crowd came a familiar figure, Councilwoman Davis, the city's Energy Committee chair, who happened to live 2 streets over. She had heard the sirens and walked over, curious. When she saw Karen ranting about my illegal system, her sharp eyes narrowed. Illegal system? She repeated, stepping closer. Funny you say that, considering I signed the grant that helped fund it. The crowd gasped. Karen froze, her mouth working like a fish on land. Davis continued, her voice cutting through the night with the authority of someone used to commanding rooms. This man's solar network isn't just legal, it's a pilot program for energy independence. He volunteered his property, invested his own money, and proved it could work. Tonight you all see the result. While you're in the dark, he's still running strong. The neighbors erupted, some clapping, some cheering, others glaring at Karen with open fury. Mrs. Patel shouted, so all those fines you gave us about unauthorized lights were lies. Mr. Johnson added, all the while he was doing something good for the community, and you tried to destroy him. Their voices overlapped, growing louder until Karen shrank under the weight of the outrage. The officers stepped in again, their tone no longer patient. Ma'am, you filed a false 911 report, wasted emergency resources, and disrupted an entire street. That's criminal. You need to come with us. Karen thrashed, her hands flapping, her words dissolving into nonsense. No. You don't understand. I am the HOA. I make the rules. This neighborhood will fall apart without me. But her protests were drowned out by the sound of applause as the deputies clicked handcuffs around her wrists. Her son, Ethan, tried to slink back into the shadows. But the crowd wasn't finished. Someone shouted, "What about him?" He started it. Ethan's face burned crimson, and for the first time, he muttered an apology, his voice cracking. But it was too late. The officers escorted Karen into the back of a cruiser, her clipboard falling into the gutter like a discarded crown. The neighbors filmed every second, ensuring the truth would spread far beyond the cul-de-sac. In the weeks that followed, investigations confirmed what the documents and testimony suggested. Karen had been misusing HOA funds, creating bogus fines, even skimming money from maintenance budgets. With her gone, the HOA collapsed under its own corruption. The residents voted to dissolve it entirely, replacing it with a simple neighborhood watch and a cooperative garden committee. The relief was palpable. Where fear once lingered, trust began to grow. Where silence reigned, laughter filled the streets. And my independent grid, it became the pride of the neighborhood. Families asked me to help set up their own panels. And with the city's support, we launched a program to expand renewable power across the block. The same lights Karen tried to weaponize became symbols of freedom, bright, warm, untouchable by her arrogance. One evening, as children played tag under porch lights and neighbors shared food at long tables in the cul-de-sac, Councilwoman Davis stopped by. She shook my hand firmly and said, "You turned a night of lies into a beacon of truth. You didn't just defend yourself, you gave this community back its voice." Her words settled deep into me, more powerful than any verdict or gavel. Karen thought she could force me to surrender my Wi-Fi, thought she could turn law enforcement into her personal army, thought she could shame me into compliance. Instead, she ended up in handcuffs, disgraced, and erased from the neighborhood she once ruled. The irony was perfect. The woman who demanded connection was left utterly disconnected from power, from neighbors, from control. So I leave you with this question. Was Karen's downfall justice enough? Or should people who abuse fear and authority against their neighbors face even harsher consequences?